Hello everyone, and welcome once again to my living room. It's Monday the 1st of October, the beginning of a new week, the beginning of a new month, and the beginning of the last quarter of the year. And because it's been raining most of the day outside, I found myself in a reflective mood and looking back to when I left my job in business at the age of 43 to become a jazz singer. Of course, at the time, everyone told me you can't pay the rent as a jazz singer, but I'm pretty stubborn and I thought that maybe I could. But of course, they were right and I couldn't. So I started what a lot of musicians and singers do. We teach. And I'm very glad that I did, because this turned into the great passion of my life. Teaching is what I love to do most of all. I was very fortunate in that a number of people immediately came for lessons. They heard my name from somewhere. And so at the beginning, I had a small group of very enthusiastic pupils. And one of the discoveries that I made quite early on, which changed my life and my teaching forever, and that was that many people who think they want to sing, yes, maybe they do want to sing and they should sing. I believe everyone should sing. But their main issue was not the singing. It was raising their voice. They wanted to be heard. And so I looked back at my life and realized that, yes, as a young child, I had always wanted to be heard too. I was born to a severely traumatized mother who was also a refugee, and because she had to fight so hard to stay stable, it was very difficult for her when I raised my voice and was a nuisance or had a different opinion to her. And so I learned in very early years that my life was safer and more comfortable if I would stick to those things which didn't offend people. And so I learned very early on to try and say what I thought people wanted to hear. And I'm wondering how many of you find yourself in this predicament. You have a voice, you know you want to be heard, you know you have something to say that's unique and absolutely yours, but for some reason people have let you know, they have in some way communicated to you that it's better if you say what they want to hear and not what you want to say. So during the course of my life as a teacher, I found that many of my pupils, from learning to sing, also learned to raise their voices. And in the light of what's going on in the world today, not only in Washington, but also in Europe and in particular in Germany, in Munich, where I live, it is becoming more and more important for those of us who don't always agree with authority to raise our voices, to be heard, and to be heard in the context of a contribution to the community, a contribution to good communication and contact between people of different nations, of different backgrounds. Many of the people here in Germany at the moment are exactly as my mother was way back then, traumatized, and they've lost their homes. If you have lost your home as a refugee, you have also lost the basis which could help you to stabilize and to deal with your trauma. So you raising your voice nowadays in solidarity with those who are trying to survive, who are trying to make a better life for themselves, has become more and more important. These are lessons that I learned many years ago, And I'm finding that now, today, 2018, these lessons are more important than they have ever been. Our communication now reaches across the world. We have the opportunity to understand more of what other people have experienced and are experiencing, and this should help us to create real contact with them and use our voices in the service of peace and communication, brotherhood, sisterhood across nations, and maybe just across the street, maybe just to the person across the street to you, next door to you, your neighbor, the people you meet at the local cafe, to everyone. Raise your voice, and if you're not sure how to raise it, maybe let somebody guide you. Let somebody take you back to your childhood and to the time when you learnt that it wasn't safe to say what you thought. It's time to raise your voice now.